Good morning, adventurers. My name is Ben, and welcome to a morning show where I sit around, drink some tea, and talk about D&D. First up for T&D today, I have my Stone Creek coffee, sort of blue and pink mug. Honestly, it is in honor of my Jester and Caduceus reunion that is happening in a little while here. I am obviously shooting this the day before the day that it is actually coming out. So I don't know what's happening in the Critical Role thing yet, but I am excited about it nonetheless. That's part of the reason I'm doing this episode, and by part, I mean the entire reason I'm doing this episode. But inside of it, we have the Elderberry Lemon Balm Immune and Stress Support. I don't feel stellar for some reason. I don't really know why. Probably because I had 30 middle schoolers around today, and so I'm feeling a little weird. But I'm not particularly worried about it. It's just, I think, a little bit of rundown, and I'm not used to it right now. So, anyway, getting into what we're actually talking about today, because we're not here to talk about me feeling weird or the tea that I am drinking, even though it is part of the show. Today, we're talking about why you should run a reunion episode, quote unquote, for your party. Really, why you should run like a coming back together. For your old game that has gone on to retirement. And it's three big reasons for me here. So it's really three reasons why you should run that. That's probably what the title is going to be. But let's go ahead and let's start talking about him. Okay, let's talk about it. I'm excited about him because I'm really excited about what's happening with the Critical Role reunion. Again, it is the reason that I'm doing this. They've done a few reunions as we go here. They are a really good example of why the hype around a reunion is so big. They have done one-shots for Campaign 1 and now Campaign 2 as well, so that they can revisit those old characters and like build some hype around it. There's a reason that Fantasy High is one of the sort of the flagship really popular shows of Dimension 20 as well, because those characters come back, you get to see them again, and people really love to get to see their old favorites come back for another round. So, all that said, let's go ahead, let's talk about the three biggest reasons that I think you should run a reunion, quote-unquote, episode, quote-unquote, for your retired party. So, this is really kind of like a niche sort of episode, I guess, because it is targeted specifically at those people that have had a campaign go to its full conclusion, its extent, which I know is not enough people. I know that is a much smaller piece of the Dungeons & Dragons community than it should be, but let's go ahead and let's get into it. Maybe this will help motivate you to actually want to try and finish one if you are somebody who is starting to burn out on the one you're in or something like that. First and foremost, it's like finding an old sweatshirt, and I hope that you understand what I mean when I say that, because it took me a minute to think of the analogy that I wanted to use there, and that is what I believe to be the best one. It is that same feeling of you digging through your closet and you finding in the back, jammed in some corner, that old sweatshirt that you used to wear all the time that feels so good to put back on. You pull it out, it smells a little weird, it's a little hard to like really operate because, you know, it's got wrinkles deep set into it from being balled up in the corner. Again, it smells a little funky from being in the back of the closet, but it feels good to get it back on. And before too long, you stop noticing those things and you're just enjoying it again. It is like that in that you haven't played these characters in a long time. You don't remember what any of their mechanics are. You don't remember how they are. You don't remember their playstyle. But God, does it feel good to go ahead and just find them and drag them back out into the light and go ahead and put that skin back on and play that again. I know that putting that skin on sounds weird, but you know what I mean, you crazy people on the internet. The feeling of being able to go, oh, yeah, this is comfortable, this is nice, this is something that I feel good about, is really powerful. Like, honestly, it's very powerful. And it is especially welcome if you are currently in some kind of stress or high stress situation in life, or even just in your other game. If you are actively running a game with the same players, and you're like, man, we really kind of need to take a break. This is so stressful. Everything is going 1,000 miles an hour all the time. I need to take a step back. I need to sort of breathe for a second. You can go ahead and say, how about this? At our regularly scheduled game time, let's do a reunion instead. Let's loop back our old characters. You guys will be them again. You'll go do this other thing. And then we'll come back fresh, because sometimes all you need to break that kind of burnout feel, that feeling of just being beaten down by the same thing over and over again, or the same story arc being so heavy, is just a little bit of a break. I talked about this in my burnout episode. Just getting that little bit of a break, especially if you are in that group and you DM'd the last campaign, and your new DM is the one that, or is one of the people that was in the campaign. Sometimes just getting that sweet seat switch is enough to really sort of unblock everything, keep everything moving, make those juices flow again, and make it feel really good again. So it's like finding an old sweatshirt. It is just like, it feels so good, and it is so nice to be able to do. I simply cannot recommend the comfort of it enough, because it is so comfortable to get to do, just because it is that comfort that you had for months, years, however long it was that you were playing that game. So it's like finding an old sweatshirt. 1, old sweatshirt. 2, you could make it an event. You can go ahead, you can make it a whole thing. If you give your players, say, a month's notice, they'll have a month to prepare. They have one shot. I mean, presumably you'll do another one at some point, but they've got the one shot to like make everything count, get it all together, make this as good as it possibly can be. Who knows? They might show up in costume. They will show up with food, almost definitely. They will show up like 4 hours early to just start the party, so that everybody can be excited, everybody can be happy, everybody can be having a good time. And honestly, it's so important for that energy to come into the house that you're playing in. There's always, like, you know, some amount of excitement, some amount of tension, whatever, whenever you're playing D&D. Playing a reunion episode has the same energy as playing the first session of a campaign. All that, like, hope and, like, kind of nervous energy and, like, ooh boy, what's going on here? Without any of the, well, not without any of the anxiety, but without a lot of the anxiety that goes with that first session jitters that comes with it. Because when you're starting to play, you're like, oh god, I'm gonna do this right, am I gonna do this right? Oh man. But if you're playing a reunion, you have already done the hard part. You did the campaign. Congratulations, you're in retirement now. You're ready to go. You just have to get across the finish line for this one. It is not something that you have to, like, be perfect at. The point is that you're not going to be great at it. The point is that your characters are going to be rusty. The point is you're going to be rusty at it. So when people come in with that same, like, fiery kind of jittery energy, it's a great time to be able to sit down and play a game that everybody is comfortable in already. They know that they're comfortable. The surprises that are coming are going to be fun ones. You're not doing this and having, like, world-ending stakes all the time, because it's a one-shot or a two-shot. Like, the point is that you are doing it again because it's just fun. It's not like it is not the weight of the world, sometimes literally bearing down on you. It is just to have a good time, and that the stress being taken off of that can make it just a really fun sort of, like, hangout event. But with the focus still being on the game, because people are going to be excited to get back into that old sweatshirt that they just kind of have now. So make it an event. Send out special invites. Encourage people to be in costume. Encourage them to bring food. Encourage them to do this, that, and the other thing. It's going to be worth it. I promise. It's so much fun. And finally, third, this is more for the DMs than for the players out there. If, you know, other things have not been so far. Revisit a storyline that they forgot about. Give them a little something. They will be spending the time leading up to it wondering, trying to figure out what it is that they are going to be doing. I promise. They will spin themselves in circles for hours on end, desperately trying to figure out what it is that they are going to be playing for. Because the reality is that most things with a one-shot will involve some roleplay and some combat. So they're going to try and figure out what it is that they're going to be fighting. Now, if you played a game that was almost exclusively roleplay and almost no combat, then you probably won't be doing that, which is fine. That's still a very good time, don't get me wrong. But you can really, like, drag it out for them if you give them a week, 2 weeks, something like that, to just sort of agonize over what it is that you are going to be running them through. And it'll be some little storyline that they forgot about. A really, really, really good example of it is with Critical Role's Wedding one-shot. I'm not going to say too much more than that, but if you have seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was something that had sort of like fallen by the wayside, something they thought they had dealt with. And it came back, and it was so much fun to get to watch. There was so much fulfillment in that moment because of the stakes that were put around it from the context of the campaign originally. So much fun to get to see. So, revisiting a storyline that they forgot about, they thought they put to bed, something that they are not expecting, is such a blast to get to do. Plus, if you get the opportunity to just, like, maybe peek at the players' group chat, if that happens to be the case, then you can definitely see what it is they are thinking is going to happen, and you can do something else and definitely subvert those expectations. Don't get me wrong. Most players have a group chat that their DM is not a part of, and there's no way you're ever going to see that. But if they talk about it on some kind of public channel with you, then you can go ahead and you can maybe draw back some of those options so that you're a little bit more surprising for them. Because the reality is, you don't have to have this thing planned when you announce that you want to do it. You can just be like, hey guys, I'm thinking I want to do this. Let's do it in a month. And then you've given yourself a month to plan. You've given yourself a month to figure it out. And as soon as you say that it's going to happen, it's going to start their brains turning. It's going to like worm its way into their thoughts. I was going to say noodle its way into their thoughts, but noodles aren't things that do this. So it is going to occupy their brain space. And that is such a powerful tool as a DM to just have. I love it when my players just, like, out of nowhere will send me a message asking me a question or something like that, because it tells me that they're thinking about it. So if you have something that can somehow root its way into their brain, you're halfway to winning already as a DM, because the winning part is making sure everybody has a really good time and that you keep the hooks in them so that they keep coming back and that they just love it. So the concept of revisiting that storyline that they have forgotten about not only gives you the ability to sort of plant that seed, but it also gives you the opportunity to resolve something that maybe didn't get resolved immediately in the main campaign or in the epilogue of the campaign. Something that sort of was like yeah, we should probably take care of that, but it didn't feel right to insert after you had done the climactic ending of the campaign, and then while you're doing the epilogue, they were like, yeah, probably at some point this happened. That's another good thing. You can go ahead and you can run something that somebody said in your epilogue, assuming you ran an epilogue. I don't know why you wouldn't run an epilogue. I always try and run an epilogue. Just, you have the ability to do that. So, revisit that old storyline. To recap, real quick here. 1, old sweatshirt. 2, big event, party time type of deal. And number 3, revisiting a lost storyline. So definitely go ahead and run that reunion, quote unquote, episode for your party. It is a powerful thing. It is a lot of fun. And honestly, people have a blast slipping back into those shoes after 6 months, a year, 2 years, however long it is that it has been since they got to play as that character. It is so much fun. I promise it's so much fun. So that is everything I've talked to you guys about on that. Let's get into the shows that we have today. In no particular order, we have, or today and this weekend, in no particular order, Friday today, we have Mayhem D&D, Off the Rails, Oxventure, Just Roll With It, The Strings of Fate, Rolling with Difficulty, World of Low, The Crown DM, and Coming Together Naturally. Tomorrow, Saturday, we have Dice Funk and Strange Hungers. And Sunday, we have Super Idols, Roll For Your Life, Grinning Griffin, Dungeon Drunks, Library of Nightmares, The Chaos Brigade, Rise of the Forsaken, Chromatic Dice, The Strogcast, High Rollers, and Tabletop Notch. Again, let them know that I sent you, because again, someday somebody is going to say something to me about it. I'm going to think that it's funny, but until then, I'm just going to keep asking you guys to do so. So, with all that said, that's everything I have to talk to you guys about tonight. So, thank you so very much for making me part of your morning routine. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much in particular to my patrons. You guys are the ones that make this show possible. If you're interested in becoming a patron, check out the link in the episode description. Yep, that is it. So, now, with all that said, there we go. That's the part where I put that in the sign off here. Don't forget, everybody, drink tea, play D&D, and keep on rolling.